We are 3 weeks away from the battle for the soul of the valley, and on December 9th, we finally got the official trailer for Cobra Kai Season 4. With some of the teasers seen this past year, we finally had some answers for some scenes, and as always, we also got left with more questions. Will Johnny and Daniel stay together as a team? Will Terry get the best of Daniel? Will Kreese get the best of Johnny? With so much writing on the line, December 31st can't get here fast enough to answer these questions. In the meantime, this is my breakdown in theory of everything we know about Cobra Kai Season 4 so far. First, let's break down the official trailer shot by shot, or rather scene by scene. As we see Johnny gearing up to train by loading up his mixtape into his Walkman and tightening his headband, we hear Daniel telling Amanda that if he and Johnny can work together and win, Cobra Kai will be out of business, as they get ready to teach their combined class. We cut back to day 1 of training at the end of Season 3, where Johnny is giving his speech to the class, and we see him sparring with Hawk. Daniel is then shown sparring with Dimitri. We finally see the end of the shot where everyone is meditating in Miyagi-Do, and we see Miguel is there, with Johnny trying to keep his focus but starts to watch everyone else. Similar to Season 2 cement truck training, Johnny takes on the Miyagi-Do students for some very unorthodox training, and what he's teaching them to take some kind of ECW bump and getting them to land on some mattresses from high up. Daniel advises that they're gonna get sued in what seems to be some more unorthodox training, the first with the barrel being lit on fire, and the next shot where Dimitri is restrained by tape with a couch cushion on him, and Johnny telling him to tighten up that core. As we hear Kreese telling the class the enemies are working together, we see Johnny being open-minded about Miyagi-Do and waxing the car as he practices the motions and then spits in his hand for Daniel to shake it. As we cut back to Kreese inside the dojo, telling the students that the enemies are combining their styles, we cut back to Daniel doing push-ups on his knuckles, an old Cobra Kai training method, while Johnny looks on in a scene from previous trailers where Johnny and Daniel were training inside a warehouse, followed by Daniel training with the pitching machine like Miguel did in Season 1, with Johnny cheering him on. As Tori and Kyler walk into the Cobra Kai dojo, they see Robbie standing there in a full Cobra Kai gi, as if he's teaching, which I presume to be not long after the Season 3 house fight. Part of Kreese's speech gets cut as we see him visit an old familiar friend, Terry Silver, convincing him that he's the only other person that knows how to teach Cobra Kai. As Terry Silver shows that he still has what it takes to do some real damage, Kreese simply laughs and asks, "You missed this, don't you?" As we see Silver tying his hair back once again. As Cobra Kai dons some new gear with Kreese and Silver standing together at the head of the class, Silver is shown talking to Kreese at dinner saying, "I just want to make sure this time we win." In what seems to be a correct prediction by many of you, with Robbie using Miyagi-Do to his advantage while now being part of Cobra Kai, he claims to know the enemy's playbook and is shown teaching the class some of Miyagi-Do's defense techniques. Silver is then shown goading Robbie in either some one-on-one training or with Robbie trying to take out his frustration, and Silver easily counters and disarms Robbie, telling him that a man can't stand, he can't fight. As we hear the words Daniel LaRusso, we get some flashbacks to Karate Kid 3, and what we presume to be a face-off at the Miyagi-Do dojo, with Kreese and Silver approaching Daniel and Johnny. Kreese uses his tricks once again to try to make Johnny turn against Daniel, and to an extent, we see it working as Johnny looks on to Daniel training Miguel and the Eagle Fang students in the way of Miyagi-Do. This presumably also leads to a conversation with Daniel and Johnny at the bar, with Daniel claiming he wants what's best for Miguel and all of your students, and Johnny replying, "Oh, so now you know what's best for Miguel." We then cut to a shot of Cobra Kai students at the prom, Kyler, Edwin, and what seems to be Piper, Moon's ex-girlfriend. As Miguel and Sam are seen dancing, we cut to see Tori and Robbie walking in together as they're both seen by Miguel and Sam, while overhearing Johnny telling Daniel, "You circle around your problems your whole life, waiting for trouble to show up at your doorstep." Daniel insists that you can't strike first with this guy, with Terry Silver staring at someone past the camera, more than likely after a confrontation in a locker room, presumably at the dojo or the tournament. Terry is shown confronting Daniel at the convenience store, insisting he has a little bit of Cobra Kai in him, and we then cut to Daniel training once again. Daniel is shown training Miyagi-Do students again, with Miguel jumping rope with chains, and Robbie telling Daniel everyone thinks their way is the only way, as we cut back to Tori sparring in Cobra Kai. Daniel and Dimitri are shown sparring again in gis. We see Johnny training Miguel and the Eagle Fang students again, presumably after the team splits up, and then we cut back to a scene where previously I thought it was Hawk attacking Robbie inside the Cobra Kai dojo, but we see now it's Robbie sparring with Kyler and someone else, chosen style. Daniel is visiting Miyagi's grave once again, where we also see Johnny and Carmen presumably talking to Miguel about them being together, and we see the new kid Kenny walking through school and stepping into Cobra Kai with Robbie narrating, "Truth is, it doesn't matter which way you fight as long as it works." We then see Hawk staring down both Robbie and Kenny, with Miguel also there, while cutting back to Silver saying, "No fighting before the tournament." Sam is also there during the Hawk and Robbie stare down in the confrontation with Cobra Kai next to Miguel, Tori also staring back from the other side, and we hear a voice saying, more than likely Daniel, "We'll settle this on the mat." We see Silver and Kreese bowing to each other, as do Daniel and Johnny in their gis at the tournament. We hear Ron at the All Valley meeting proposing some kind of new stipulation or matchup, something that Daniel may have likely proposed, that would revolutionize the tournament, with George saying, "God help us all." As we are being welcomed onto the mat, we see Robbie flipping onto the mat, Sam showing off some size, and possibly Miguel dueling not with a Miyagi-Do student, but with a Locust Valley student. This could mean that Daryl Vidal can make a return as a sensei, or simply his school is back in the tournament, but I wouldn't be surprised with the former statement, as his name has been mentioned both in Season 2 and 3. Let's talk about some of my previous speculations and see if they still hold up, or if we can now debunk them with the trailer coming out. One of the first theories that has been persistently talked about since the end of Season 3 is the possibility that Daniel and Johnny will eventually split ways. During the All Valley teaser, I speculated that this could be unlikely, but now I think this theory could actually hold up. With a heated conversation in the bar and with Kreese playing more tricks on Johnny's insecurity with Daniel training Miguel, it is clear in some of the shots of the trailer that they eventually start to train their students separately. Funny enough, in the breakdown of the Tudum skit and the teaser shown then, this was also hinted at with the Eagle attacking Sholo, solidifying him as Eagle Fang. As I also mentioned at this time, Cobra Kai will often throw in hints in skits, interviews, the video games, etc. for things that are likely to happen in the future of the show. Despite all this, I think it's still very likely that although they are competing separately, they will still work toward the common goal of taking down Cobra Kai. I can't help but feel that Daniel is asking Johnny for some help with his eventual and most likely fight with Terry Silver, and with Johnny more than likely going for another fight with Kreese. One of the earlier points I mentioned is that it's possible that Mike Barnes could make an appearance, because the series constantly drilling into our heads that Daniel is a two-time All Valley champion, though it glosses over the fact that Johnny is one too, and the fact that they left out any kind of footage showing Daniel's second championship win. I think at this point, with the way the All Valley teaser presented the rivalry with Daniel and Johnny, it was a hint to further show that there will be friction between Daniel and Johnny once again at the tournament. We could finally see a true spar between the two senseis at the All Valley, but this again would be unlikely and mostly focused on the students fighting in the competition, unless it's a new stipulation that Ron is proposing where the senseis also fight. As far as Mike Barnes, I think it's clear to say that this role will at least be filled by Robbie, becoming more ruthless than ever and doing what he can to get an edge over Miyagi-Do and Eagle Fang, even if it means teaching Cobra Kai what he knows about Miyagi-Do. And how can we forget Hawk? So far, everything that has been shown I would assume are earlier shots of the season where his mohawk is still red, or the fact that he still has one. There's still more than likely a chance that he will go through some kind of radical change, especially given the fact that they made it so blatant to hide his mohawk in the All Valley teaser. What puzzles me is that there is hardly any footage of him at all in the newest teaser. In the previous teaser prior to the full trailer, he obviously has some beef with the new kid Kenny, and this is also explored a little more in this trailer. We can also debunk the shot of the trailer where I assumed Hawk to be fighting Robbie in the dojo. As I mentioned before, it was clearly Kyler fighting Robbie, with another student alongside him also trying to fight Robbie. We also can't forget about our new couple, Tori and Robbie. As seen in the All Valley teaser, Tori and Robbie were seen sparring together, and in the previous teaser, there was a shot of Robbie looking at Tori in the dojo. We also saw Robbie dipping someone at the prom, presumed to be Tori, and with the newest trailer, we can confirm it is indeed Tori as Robbie's date. How either of them got back into the prom is hard to say, given that Robbie and Tori were both expelled. If I had to guess, Silver probably slipped someone some money and was able to pull a favor to allow them to attend prom. This could also be a ploy by Kreese and Silver to also play mind games with Miyagi-Do and Eagle Fang before the tournament, and although Silver said no fighting before the tournament, I think it's safe to say that this would still be some kind of tactic to goad Miyagi-Do and Eagle Fang to strike first, so Cobra Kai can claim self-defense. This would also go back to my Tudum teaser breakdown, with the skit and the shot of Robbie dipping Tori at the time could hint at a huge confrontation at the prom. As far as the All Valley, it is very odd we haven't seen any footage of Tori outside of being in her competition gi, and any footage of all showing her at the All Valley. This could circle back to the redemption arc that may happen to her before the tournament, as I speculated in the previous teaser, but this still may be unlikely at this point. It could be very possible though that Robbie could still win, given the fact that he's teaching Cobra Kai how to counter the Miyagi-Do techniques. Again, we will just have to wait to see as far as the outcome of the tournament. As far as Devin, we still don't see any new footage of her at all in this trailer, and that could be for a good reason. I think it's safe to say that we can debunk from the All Valley teaser that this is actually Sam jumping from rooftop to rooftop. The person in the shot is wearing the same clothes as Sam does in a shot from the trailer, and we know that Johnny is up to his unorthodox training once again, specifically with the rooftop. Sam is also wearing these clothes in the same scene sparring with Daniel, and also meditating with Miyagi-Do. It could also be Sam in the gymnastics scene, as the person at the edge of the shot could be Daniel in his brown coat, as he's seen wearing this while talking to Silver and Robbie in the convenience store. Last but not least, our buddy Terry Silver. Up until this point, we've seen very little of him compared to the other characters, and rightly so to build the anticipation. As I mentioned in my previous teaser breakdown, I think it's very likely we can see some sort of fight or physical confrontation between him and Daniel, with Daniel being trained by Johnny and Terry Silver showing he still has what it takes, while also sparring with Robbie, Kreese, and working on the heavy bag. Honestly, I don't think anybody would complain about seeing Silver and Daniel fighting, or Kreese and Johnny fighting again for that matter. I feel no matter how the tournament ends, one side will be unhappy and it's more than likely a brawl could break out at the tournament. Finally, let's talk a bit about the poster and something that stuck out to me on the official trailer. First, the poster itself. As you may have seen on my community posts or my Twitter, I noticed something about the poster right away. They are all paired off if you look at one character from the other. Silver and Daniel, Kreese and Johnny, Miguel and Robbie, Sam and Tori, Kyler and Dimitri, and Kenny and Hawk. These would all make sense given that, outside of Kyler and Dimitri, though this rivalry can clearly stem from Season 1 and Season 3, these have been shown in one or more of the teasers and trailers we've seen up to this point. It's easy to say that these are all going to be some of the driving plot lines of this season. Also, we do see the return of a character, and one you may not expect, Piper. Now, why would she return? Piper was Moon's girlfriend she dated over the summer during Season 2. However, Moon may have broken up with her right before school started, as we saw her flirting with a guy during the soccer game in Season 3. You can actually clearly see her here when Kreese and Silver are instructing the dojo together. You can also see her next to the Cobra Kais during the prom picture. Why Piper joined Cobra Kai is unclear at the moment, but I suspect this could also involve Hawk in the mix. Perhaps as part of his arc to redeem himself, he will have to put his jealousy aside in the event that he has to face Piper in the tournament. Or on the flip side, Hawk seeing Piper and still being upset over his breakup with Moon could revert back to his old ways and try to antagonize Piper leading up to and during the tournament. This could also tie in with why he was beefing with Kenny. Maybe Kenny joins Cobra Kai to boost his confidence, and because of Hawk antagonizing Piper, suddenly Hawk makes Kenny his enemy for sticking his nose in someone else's business. Again, pure speculation at this point, but it's interesting to note that such a minor character like Piper is given some spotlight by joining Cobra Kai. Hey guys, sorry for the difference in audio quality, but as I was editing, somebody pointed out to me in the Discord server that Devin is actually in the trailer. If we freeze the frame where Sam is demonstrating her size, you can actually see Devin in the background wearing the Eagle Fang gi standing next to Miguel. So if Devin is actually the gymnast in this prior scene, then that would mean that Johnny successfully recruited her to Eagle Fang, and maybe not to show off everything about her backstory, they probably only put her in this minor shot in the full trailer. December 31st will be here before we know it, and we will have been fortunate enough to get 2 Cobra Kai seasons this year. Season 3 on January 1st and Season 4 on December 31st. I personally can't wait until Season 4 comes out, and until then, I'll be rewatching episodes and the original movies to prepare myself for a New Year's Eve binging on Cobra Kai Season 4. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. What are you looking forward to most in Season 4, and what do you think about some of these theories? If you enjoyed the video, consider subscribing, liking the video, and leaving a comment, as these all help my channel grow. Also, if you'd like to see more frequent uploads, consider becoming a member to directly support the channel and enjoy perks such as access to the VIP Discord, behind the scene photos, and first look at my videos before they are released. Shout out to my Twitch subscribers and current YouTube members, your support is appreciated. While we're on the subject, in 2022, I will be exclusively streaming on this channel, so let me know what types of games you'd like to see me play. This doesn't change the fact that I'll still be doing analysis and theory content, just more variety of content that I'll be bringing to the channel. Last but not least, check out my second channel where I post clips and highlights and the occasional meme or two. Supporting my second channel also directly helps support this channel, so any help is appreciated. Thanks for watching, stay beautiful, stay awesome, and we'll catch you around next time.